Okay, so this is the same concept that I was playing with yesterday. But as you can see, I have it set up a little better. I went out and bought some 3/4 inch PVC. Or it might be 1 inch, I'm not sure. I think it's 3/4. But it allows me to use a thicker arrow shaft, which finding a dead, straight shaft in nature is difficult. So I bought a dowel rod. Obviously, if I was posted up in a camp, I could cut a green chute, straighten it, and fire, dry it over the fire for a day or two. And, that would work. But time is not on my side, and I'm just testing this. But just same yellow bands from the other one. I cut the pouch out, and I put a piece of string, so that way I can use a knock in the back, and it makes it secure. You can see what I did there. It's probably like an 8-inch section of 3/4 inch PVC. The bands are secured with a zip tie and some electric tape. And as you can see, I notched out the tree with my saw and my knife. And, ooh, almost set it off. Used some zip ties to attach it. Obviously, if I had some longer zip ties, I could use a larger tree and conceal more of the device. But those are just zip ties that I had sitting in my truck. Again, I'm testing. Once I get this, which I like this, newsflash, but once I get this together all the way, I'm going to make a kit of like 6 or 8 of these, and I'll buy some like 36-inch zip ties to use for if I were to ever need to set these up for real. That way I can attach it to a tree, a larger tree, notch the tree out the same, and, do what I got to do. I'd spray paint the device camouflage. I'd be using black bands, which are more powerful. All that. And I'd camouflage this more if I was setting it for real. But you can see, instead of having the trigger horizontally to where it pulls the peg out all the way, all this has to do is flip out. And the longer you make this peg down, the more sensitive it's going to be. So that trigger works way better. It's just a square notch in the shaft, and a squared off peg fits into it. And on it I have my tripwire, which I have ran to this tree and then ran back around the tree that this is supported off of and straight across. So that way, it's lined up with the device. When something trips it, it's going to get shot. So without further ado, I will demonstrate. This is way more sensitive. It's not super sensitive, but it's sensitive enough. Bam. Obviously the shaft didn't have a point on it, and the shaft is not fletched either. It doesn't need to be for this, because this isn't meant to be shot a long ways. Let's see if I can find the shaft. Whoa, I'm tangled up in the tripwire. Oh boy. Yep. There's my shaft. Just a square notch that the peg fits into near the tip. Now, obviously for real, I would have a barbed steel point on here. When that goes into something, if that something is intelligent and attempts to break it off, or if that something comes tearing through the brush after it gets hit, because it's an animal, it's liable that breaks off in your prey, which honestly isn't going to do you any favors. If anything, it's going to plug the wound. It's better if the arrow falls out. That way, the blood runs out and stuff. But either way, this is disheartening. If this is a bad man we're talking about, or like an alien from Pluto or something, the little blue men from Pluto, that's going to be so fucking disheartening to run into that dude. I couldn't imagine. Even if it doesn't hit him, I could not imagine. But realistically, if this doesn't hit your threat, it's gonna spook them, animal or man. It's gonna spook the shit out of them, which is good. All in all, this is a workable concept now. You really do have to mount it like this, though. It keeps it straight, you know what I mean? I suppose you could put like a couple fence staples above and below it and wire it tight like that, or a couple nails. You might not have to notch the tree. But this is a workable concept, so I'm gonna make a few more of these and get the bands, the proper bands, which the downside to this is this rubber is gonna wear out and it's not gonna be as effective in cold weather. There's your downside. But this rubber is gonna take a while to wear out. It's gonna take months. By then, you can work up something better. And slingshot bands or spear gun rubber is not super expensive. Obviously, you have to set this up on an approach to your base camp if you're using it for perimeter defense. I suppose you could use this for a large game trap, but I can't think of a circumstance where I could set this up and I wouldn't have cable snares, which work better. This is, you're gonna have to follow a blood trail. That animal's gonna run for miles and miles. Like, no, maybe not miles, but you know what I mean. I don't trust a spear trap like this for game, nor a bow trap or anything of that nature. If I don't have cable to make snares and snare big game with, and I can't source anything, I'm gonna either do like a pit type thing, which I'm skeptical of how effective that would be, or I'm gonna do a vertical jungle whip and I'm gonna drive game through them motherfuckers. But either way, I'm very impressed with this now. That's a very workable concept and I'm quite happy with it. So I'm gonna cut this down and take it with me, and we're gonna go do some fishing before the rain comes. Brought my rain pants though, so we're gonna catch some fucking fish, boy. But I'm very, very happy with how this works now. Having the trigger vertically, so that way all it takes is a little, makes it way more sensitive. Way more sensitive. The other one, I'm not convinced, like, I'm not convinced with that. But the kit that I'm gonna make with these is gonna include the spear points with some glue, you know, to put them in the, you know, to make the arrows. Some glue and some string to bind the arrows. It's gonna have the tripwire, it's gonna have the zip ties and the devices themselves, maybe some extra bands, and maybe a little bit of camouflage material too, because zip ties around a tree, I'd notice that if I was walking down the trail. Maybe camouflage zip ties or something. Could just stick a couple leaves or a little bit of bark or something in there just to break it up. Or a small section of camo net would work. Just a tiny little square just to put over this. And it's going to be spray painted camouflage. The bands are going to be black. The arrow shaft, obviously, in nature, I'd dirty that up. I'm excited about this now. I'm very happy with it. This is some fucking Rambo First Blood type shit. I love it. I love this. Pretty good. To have 6 of these, 5 or 6 of them, yeah. It's not a bad perimeter defense system. And it's not a destructive device. Like if you were, everybody knows, I mean, it's not hard to find out how to rig up a pipe bomb on a tripwire or do some shit with a shotgun shell. You know what I mean? That's not difficult, but boy, let the ATF catch you with that. I'll see you in the federal penitentiary. You'll be a part of the wood pile. But this, there's nothing they can do about this unless it's set. And you leave it set, and then yeah. See you up the river, boy. But I'm very proud of myself. I thought of this concept in a jail cell, prison cell, whatever, in the hole. In the hole. I doodle it down on a piece of scrap paper. Yep.